Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. Going into news and prophecy, all right, tying the things we see happening, all right, to the Holy Scriptures so that the faithful elect and remnant, all right, can be on point, all right, and have the true light, the true guidance in the midst of darkness, as there's many enchantments being thrown out, all right. We know that the powers that be, all right, are on the verge of implementing the MARK, all right, the MOTB. We see war and rumors of war. All right, we see talking points of banning free speech. All right, which really the scriptures is what they're after. The talking points associated with righteousness. We see all of these things taking place. All right, we see economic woes. All right, we have, the borders are wide open for any and everyone to come over. All right. So this place is ultimately on the verge of collapse, all right, and it's purposely being done, all right, but it will affect the lives of many, especially here in Babylon the Great, as, the majority of our people especially are stuck on, making memes and skits associated with that freak P. Diddy, which we always knew, all right, what he was a part of. We always knew. And we always spoke on, how Hollywood and the music industry is nothing but a Babylonian church. All right. It's nothing but an occult, left-handed, priesthood that devours souls. And many of our people who have went into that field, all right, were destroyed. We constantly witness it. And, at the end of the day, P. Diddy is a microcosm of a big problem, all right, of a big, wicked, nasty, freak party that ultimately rules the earth in the form of the children of Satan, the biblical Edomites, who set, all right, up people, all right, of our own nation, all right, to help destroy. They're like, niggas like P. Diddy are the gatekeepers. Either way, we'll talk about that in another video because, there is, significance in the spirit of what's happening with that. But overall, that's really a small issue in the grand scheme of things because, this whole world is ran by people who partake in those orgies and those rituals, you see? And, when you get that type of money that they have, regular sex is no longer pleasing. So they, as the scriptures say in Genesis, the 11th chapter, the in defiance of the Most High, in their attempt to establish their own way and do as they will, now nothing will be withheld from them, which they have imagined to do anything. You liable to go into one of those parties and an elephant standing in the middle of the room while everybody's freaking off. You like, what is the elephant there for? An alligator. All right, a skunk, just rolling around a party spraying skunk juice on people. This is the type of freak, weird things that are going on in this world, man. People just getting, offed and kidnapped, and this is the type of stuff that goes on, man. Sold, trafficked, all of that is happening. You see, and it's all gonna be, brought out, when it's all said and done. You see, but they're throwing that nigga Diddy, all right, he's dominating the airwaves. Meanwhile, when you look back after that distraction they threw out there, all right, when you look back, all right, you liable to not have, food on the shelves in your stores in your neighborhood. You're liable to not have money in your account. They're liable to be a grid attack. All right, they're liable to tell you have to report to this, region of the earth, or you got to do this. Who knows what the hell is getting ready to happen? All right, this is why the elect are going to be on point. Many of our people, all right, are taken, and they're wandering after the beast, and they have no idea. This is Luke 21:34. It says, "And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts or your minds be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and the cares of this life, so that they come up on you unawares." See, the scriptures say, the day of the Lord cometh as a thief in the night. But unto us who are in the know, who the Spirit's dealing with, all right, ultimately we're going to see it coming. For as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and stand before the Son of Man. And this is what we prepare, all right, are preparing, as the bride, the betrothed, promised to the Most High through Yahweh Shai. We are preparing ourselves, for a fit reception upon Yahweh Shai return. All right, and we damn sure don't want to be overcharged with the things of this world. Okay, Esau Edom is able to create an enemy out of thin air. You got you angry at Haitians eating ducks and cats. Okay, he got Judah warring with Ephraim in a sense of these migrants that are being brought over, being placed in ghettos and given all kind of money right in the face of you Jakes, all right, that have been in these hoods, destroying yourselves and being destroyed. These people come over here and get aid and this and that, and it's causing an uproar. It's causing friction, and this is a snare. It's a snare that Esau Edom is bringing, to try to divide the tribes. This is why the elect, okay, are going to be, locked into the Spirit and seek David their king through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai. That's the only way Judah and Ephraim, northern and southern kingdom, are going to unite in Yahweh Shai and his doctrine. And it's happening right before the face of the whole world now. While they're dangling that burnt, okay, piece of, what's that damn meat? Spam. P. Diddy is a burnt piece of spam. That guy's finished, man. Okay, and see, rebellion against the Most High always ends in a bad case. Whether you're just being used as a ritual, either way it goes, you're through. All of you people are through. Jake is through, period. Now, to get into the what's going on behind closed doors that you don't really hear about in your news, which you should be pissed off. But this is why the Lord set up, alternative media, and this is why Esau Edom is getting ready to shut down, all right, people's freedom of speech. Because as you can see here, the U.S. and Gulf Coast dock workers and ports are on a countdown to strike, all right, by October the 1st. All right, now we don't know if it's going to happen, but as you can see, Gulf Coast, all right, dock workers are threatening to strike. Let's listen to a little bit of this, all right, because there's particular comforts you are afforded through these particular processes, all right, that deal with how goods are transported from land, all right, from the sea to the land. You see, there's a whole system, all right, that's responsible for you being able to have food on your shelves and things to go and buy, and from this store, that store, the grocery store, the Home Depot, the gym, all, the incense store, all of these things are brought over here, all right, in a process where it goes from the sea to the land.
On today's episode of What's Going On with Shipping, the U.S. East and Gulf Coast ports are on a countdown for a strike. I'm your host, Sal Mercogliano. Welcome to today's episode. So, the story that's not getting enough attention, in my opinion, is the fact that we are 2 weeks away. It's September 17th, 2024. On October 1st of 2024, the ILA, the International Longshoremen's Association, is going to be off contract with the U.S. Maritime Alliance, which means that dock workers on the U.S. East and Gulf Coast ports are going to go on strike. That has the potential to shut down the import of over 1 million containers into the United States every month. We're going to break this down, look at the background on it, what this means.
And what it means is you're going to have limited, and it's all being done systematically. All right. As you're seeing particular corporations, have control over, all of the resources. Meanwhile, the middleman is getting X'd out. But again, this is going to mean in the future, because it may not have a direct, impact on you. Because a lot of these these places have things stored up, but things can run out fast. All right, resources can run out fast, and it could put you in a situation where you're going to be dependent, all right, on a particular system, on a particular man, the man of sin, all right, in order to have access to anything. All right, and what will be deemed legal currency to get it. See, he's bringing everyone into that, that squeeze. But this is not being talked about in the news. Okay. Meanwhile, they got you, flabbergasted with, the P Diddy, and then there are these celebrities jumping off Twitter, and it's a lot happening. Don't get it twisted. All right, we're living in a battle against, good versus evil. This is an evil world. You see? But you just wait till, you look up and money's banned, and, there's crashes everywhere, and you're left wanting. See, we have understanding through the Holy Spirit of why these things are happening. Now, let's keep listening to a little bit.
And also what could be done to help fix this. If you're new to the channel, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel. So the USMX, or U.S. Maritime Alliance, again, I don't know why it's USMX. It's can't be USMA because that's the U.S. Military Academy. So they went with USMX. USMX is an alliance of container carriers, direct employers, and port associations serving the East and Gulf Coast ports of the United States. This is from their annual report. So Dave Adams is the chairman and chief executive officer, but I really want to show you the board of directors. So the board of directors are made up of a variety of different people. You have at the bottom there Port Association directors. So you have Jacksonville Port, you have the Shipping Association of New York, New Jersey, you have the Boston Shipping Authority.
Now, when you go to Revelation, the 18th chapter, this is Revelation 18 and 17, as Babylon, the great America, after its destruction, is being described. It says, "For in 1 hour is so great riches come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea stood afar off." See if this says in the NLT. I've never read this in the NLT. I don't think I've read any of these verses in this chapter in the NLT. It says, "In a single moment, all the wealth of the city is gone, and all the captains of the merchants, all right, merchant ships, and their passengers and sailors and crews will stand at a distance." All right. And cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, "What city is like unto this great city?" And they cast dust on their heads and cried and weeping and selling, saying, "Alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich," all right, "all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour she is made desolate." Okay, and these nations, are in league with Babylon, trading things off, receiving things in import. All right, it's a system. This is how a lot of money is made. This is what, all right, keeps economies going. Okay, this is what keeps economies going. Let's go to the NLT. "And they will weep and throw dust on their heads and show grief, and they will cry out, how terrible for that great city. The ship owners became wealthy by transporting their great wealth on the seas. In a single moment, it is all gone." See, America being destroyed and taken out is going to ruin and disrupt the whole world All right, and then see how it flows, the economy of the whole world. You see, but again, as we can see here, going here, these dock workers, and we'll just skip ahead. You can watch this video. We'll skip ahead to what he's saying, what could happen here.
By Greg Miller over at Lloyd's List. The numbers don't lie. October U.S. port strike would be cataclysmic. East/Gulf Coast ports handled 51% of U.S. imports year to date in TEUs. Those are 20-foot equivalent units. 64% in tonnage. Greg is always great with some figures and facts, so let's go ahead and jump to them. So these are the imports into the top 5.
And if this strike doesn't happen, eventually these types of things are gonna, dominate how it's gonna happen. All right, because you look at the whole Trump thing. If he doesn't get in, is it gonna cause civil war? It's a possibility you have a few skirmishes, but is that what is going to be, that's going to move people over the edge? I don't, I could be a part of it, but I believe when people, start losing their jobs, okay, as that's happening at a large rate, as people don't have access to food, as it says in the book of Second Esdras, the 15th chapter. Okay, men are going to be warring for lack of bread. And as you can see, people are on the internet complaining about how high things are. And, more and more when it's less food on the shelves, things are going to get significantly higher anyway, which is going to lead to, civil unrest. All right. But after a while, all right, these stores, all right, are going to be found wanting, which is in the scriptures. See, even if this strike doesn't take place, all right, which is a very high, probability it will, but it may not. These are the types of things that are happening that, because things are getting significantly worse. Here it is. They got these 2 presidential candidates in front of you boasting that they're going to do this and boasting that they're going to do that. But look at what's happening. Look at the world. Look at life, your quality of life. How tight things are. You work in these damn jobs, which you really don't want to be there, but you have to, it's just hell, man. If you're retired, you don't know what the hell to do. You're just sitting there looking around, trying to go to the gym, getting sick. You don't know what it's pure hell on earth, man.
U.S. East and Gulf Coast ports month by month. The blue lines show you monthly imports in TEU. So in July, we're looking at over 1 million containers coming into the United States. From January to July of 2024, nearly 7 million containers came into the U.S. East and Gulf Coast ports. They represent just under 50% of all the containers coming in. If you stop hauling 50% of the containers into the United States, that is going to be significant. I can't say it more. There's no way that is not significant and cataclysmic. There are some writers out there who are trying to downplay this. I understand why they're trying to downplay it, but I think we need to be aware of this. Let's also be clear, whatever doesn't come in doesn't go out. And empty containers, which doesn't sound like very an important thing, but if you don't get the empty containers moving, it clogs the entire system up for months to come. To give you an idea of where this cargo is coming into the East and Gulf Coast port, of the 10 million containers that come in, roughly, 10 million tons of cargo that come in, about half, a little over 4 to 5 million, come in from Asia. About 30% of that comes in from Europe, and then the last 20%, about 2 million tons, comes in from Latin American and other. That's a significant amount from Asia. Remember, that cargo coming from Asia is coming through the Panama Canal. Now that the Panama Canal is back at full level, we're seeing a lot of cargo coming in. The other 50% goes into LA and Long Beach. You can't take that 50% from the East Coast and put it into the West Coast. You will clog up LA and Long Beach. It will be worse than the supply chain crisis we saw a few years ago. You just can't change this. Plus, you need to set up warehouses, infrastructure. The road and rail system cannot handle it out of the West Coast. So this has a lot of issues. If we look at the data even more, we look at the share of total U.S. imports by region. For example, Asian imports, about 45% of Asian.
So, you can watch this video. We'll see, as there's a lot of things that are happening. We'll see where this can go, but you got to understand there's whole systems. There's a whole economic system. There's a whole, world that takes place. And as the scriptures say, the wealthy people that dwell without care, these Americans, as they're looking at their leaders and listening to them, their so-called leaders, they're not thinking about stuff like this. They're not looking at, life and how they're suffering. They're just caught up in the show, the bread, the circuses, and the madness. You see, but again, if these people go on strike, as you can see here, the importance of dock workers to the global economy. They're very important to the global economy because they play a vital role in the transportation of goods. Okay. Cargo flow. Okay. Loading and unloading cargo from ships, which helps maintain flow of goods. Port performance. All right. They're essential for the performance of terminals and competitiveness in ports. All right. Men. These are men doing this. Okay. The importance of men. Okay, supply chain, dock workers are crucial for keeping the supply chain running, especially during a time of crises. All right. Many responsibilities, loading and unloading equipment, maintenance, documentation, preparing docks, mooring and unmooring. All right. So this is a very important aspect of a flowing kingdom, which we saw in 2020, that what they did, with the flow of things, it led to the destruction of the economy. Well, they're going to do that again, and this time it's going to be even worse. See? Isaiah 19:8 in the NLT, it says the fishermen will lament for lack of work. All right, and what do the fishermen do? They cast out their net into the sea. All right, any form of work can be likened unto you casting your net into the sea to reap a benefit of your work. See? Those who cast hooks into the Nile will groan. All right, and we've done videos. The modern day Nile River could be likened unto the Mississippi River, which is drying up. All right, which is one, if not the most important river, for the flow of things in Babylon. It says, those who cast hooks into the Nile will groan, and those who use nets will lose heart. See, economic collapse. There will be no flax for the harvesters. All right, no thread for the weavers. They will be in despair, and all the workers will be sick at heart. Okay, Isaiah 19:13. The officials of Zoan are fools. All right, where Pharaoh would have all of these witches and warlocks gather. They had their meetings. Same thing Esau's doing today. All right, the officials of Memphis. All right, which Memphis was the capital of Egypt. You have Memphis here in America. This is a spiritual Egypt. Remember that, okay? As a matter of fact, if you didn't know that, yeah, Memphis is the capital of ancient Egypt. Memphis, or Napa. All right. Or Nop. Presentability, another name for Memphis, the capital city of Egypt. So there was a lot of witchcraft going out of ancient Memphis. There's a lot of witchcraft coming out of this modern Egypt. That's where they have the 666 Mafia. All right. And it was, located near the Nile River, just like modern day Memphis is located amongst the Mississippi River. Okay, but these particular, as you can see there, princes of Zoan, Tazawan, a place of departure, to Zion. Okay. I remember doing research. This is where Pharaoh and he would meet with all these counselors, man. And it ain't working. Okay, it ain't working, man. They're meeting. They're doing all of these meetings. They're doing all of these, enchantments, and they can clearly see the Lord is getting ready to make a move on them. But as you can see here, the princes of Zoan are fools. The officials of Memphis are deluded. The leaders of the people have led Egypt astray. Your Kamala, your Biden, your Trump, all of these governors. It's a bunch of losers, man. The people that they put in front of you, all right, falsified. All these people are complete losers, man. All right, Gil Bates, complete loser. See, and you Edomites are looking like fools, man. Second Esdras 6 and 22 in the GNT. Planted fields will suddenly become bare, and full barns will become empty. See, empty. All right. And your access to food, all right, comes through their system. Okay. And these grocery stores can be likened to a barn, but of course they're gonna destroy farming. Okay, the trumpet will sound, and sudden terror will grip the heart of everyone when they hear it. Friends will fight like enemies, and the earth and its people will be terrified. Rivers will stop flowing and stand still for 3 hours. And ultimately, this truth, all right, the living water, the Lord is going to put a spirit on the powers that be to cut off the truth. See, those who survive all these things that I have predicted, all right, and this is around the time that destruction is going to come, will I bring to an end of this world that I created. Anyway, going back, as you can see, we're living in a time, all right, where things are happening that can really, really affect your day-to-day life, man.
Imports are coming into the East and Gulf Coast ports. If you look at European imports, about 85 to 90%. Latin America, about 75 to 80% in crisis. Other West Coast ports, Long Beach, but also Tacoma and Oakland, are in dark blue. And then the red here is the U.S. East Coast. The U.S. East Coast had been on track to eclipse the West Coast in terms of total cargo. So what does this mean? Well, we got to get the ILA and the U.S. Maritime Alliance sitting down and discussing, because a strike in 2 weeks from today is not good. Now, I have heard very little from the administration, the Biden administration, acting Secretary of Labor Sue, or Secretary of Transportation Buttigieg on this. They have said we really want an agreement. Okay, great. I don't want government intervention. Let me be clear. I'm not a big fan of that at all. However, they should be using leverage to get these two sides back into the table. Get Daggett and the ILA, get the U.S. Maritime Administration Adams back together, sit them down, and start negotiating.
It's not going to be any healing of Babylon. These it's just going to be a bunch of division and disagreeing. All right, a country divided by civil, all right, unrest or civil war, it shall not stand. That's one of the ways the Lord is going to take this place out. It's going to lead to nothing but, more hard times, civil unrest. Second Esdras 16 and 18, or started 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and because of great tribulation. All right, because just like in 2010, even till now, 2020 until now, when that, the imports and outports, was stopped. They were just basically destroying the economy. But who eventually has to pay, for things not flowing is the consumer, those who buy. You're going to have to make up, all right, the fact that, they don't have much to sell, or what you do have access to. They're going to jack the prices up because it's going to be more and more precious. All right. And also inflation. You're also going to have shrinkflation. Okay. If you know anything about shrinkflation, which that's written about in the book of Revelation, the 6th chapter. Let's get this real quick. Revelation 6 and 5. And when he opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, representative of dark times, slavery, which would be put on us and the earth through Esau, Edom's rule. And he that sat on them had a pair of balances in his hand. Okay? And we always show you this word balances is zygos. And what does it represent? Metaphorically, use of any burden or bondage, that of slavery, troublesome laws imposed on one. See that? Unjust practices, which he's getting ready to bring those forth on a whole nother level. And I heard the voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. The oil and the wine represents the truth. All right, a measure of wheat for a penny. And we know the penny is what? All right, the denarion. All right, which just like you see inflation and the value of the dollar, you had a devalue of the denarion by them putting lesser metals with, the pure, silver or the pure gold. They would mix different lesser metals, right? But you have what you would call shrinkflation, denarion, as you can see here, a Roman silver coin in the New Testament time. It was the principal coin of the Roman Empire. All right. It was about then the ordinary pay for a day's wages. So a day's wages is going to get you a particular measure of barley. All right. A particular measure of barley, which is, a grain, koinix. I just get to the point, as much as would support a man of moderate appetite for a day. So it's going to take a day's wages to get enough food to support a man of a moderate appetite. Imagine if you have children. They have children. See, you got a wife. Okay, that then is what brings about hard times. Okay, famine, and all you have to do is type in shrinkflation. Where ultimately you're paying more for less product. Okay? Is the cereal box getting smarter? Welcome to the bewildering world of shrinkflation. And then what is shrinkflation? Package downsizing. The practice of reducing a product's amount, just like back in the day when you was eating Doritos, you would get that bag would be full, and it would be 25 cents for the little small joints, for 25 cents for that, and the bag was full. Now that same bag is $1.25, $1.50, $2, and the bag is half empty. The practice of reducing a product's amount or volume per unit while continuing to offer it at the same price or even more. Okay, and you can also look up denarion. Inflation. Rome, you can look up inflation in Rome, the denarius. I just be looking up certain stuff sometimes. Customers push back on shrinkflation. The Roman Empire experienced inflation for a number of reasons and debased currency. Crisis invading enemies. Yeah, we're here all over again. Anyway, let's move on to a few other things that we have going on.
This is big breaking.
Now, this is Patrick Humphrey, which, he sometimes is clickbait, but sometimes he brings out some good information. It begins, new treaty just passed, lawmakers issue serious warning.
In emergency news, the United Nations just passed their quote pact for the future. And lawmakers are warning that this could be a major problem for the United States and its sovereignty. They are warning that the U.S. is handing over their rights and their powers to the United Nations and the world from this pact and this treaty that just passed Sunday, September 22nd. So let's get into all the details here. Really quick, guys, please just hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'm posting multiple videos a day, keeping you guys updated on all this big urgent news, and it just helps to get these warnings out. I appreciate that. So this pact was just passed at the UN Assembly that is being held September 22nd and September 23rd. They just passed this, quote, pact for the future. And these congressmen are warning that this could allow the UN and the organization, these treaties that we are entering into, could allow them to take over certain types of emergencies inside the U.S. and have governing authority over them. So I want you to listen to what these reps said. This is Rep Bob Good from Virginia and also Ralph Norman from South Carolina. And they are warning that this treaty...
A pact for the future, okay? A pact for the future, all right? Pact for the future is crucial for accelerating Agenda 2030 by addressing global shocks. Okay, what is Agenda 2030? Let's see what that is. Let's type in all right, the Agenda 2030 is a suitable development, is a UN adopted 20 blueprint, a sustainable future, ending poverty, human rights, respecting, protecting, and promoting human rights for all, gender equality, increasing women leadership roles and investment in gender equality, climate change, ocean and forest, preserving peace, fostering peace and safeguarding the rights and dignity of all people. See, bringing people, from fear of the Lord and his order and bringing them over to leaning on him, all right, and his false sense of peace via his left-handed means. See, and they're gonna scare the people into surrendering their rights by all of these things that they're gonna bring, and people are onto them, all right. But again, your constitutional rights are in the way of the NWO. So they're getting ready to do something, all right? And while you're, flabbergasted with nasty ass Diddy, all right, he's just a freak. He'll do anything, right? Here it is. Your rights are getting ready to be taken from you, all right? You're not going to have access to food. Your bank accounts are going to be emptied. You're going to be given a universal basic income. They're going to tell you these are the new foods that you're going to eat in order to bring us to the place where the earth is cooling down, because you niggas are eating too many steaks and burgers and french fries. Okay, no more hoagies, nigga. All right. So the UN nations, what is the UN? I mean, they're really this whole, coalition for world peace. They're supposed to stand for, world peace. Well, how are they going to bring about that peace? Real quick. Peace and safety is what the UN is all about. Give me 1 second.
The Second World War caused enormous destruction and left large parts of the world in ruins. That's why the United Nations was established with one main
What is the UN is the name of this video.
target: to prevent war in the future. The UN is a meeting point where leaders from all around the world can interact. In the UN, countries try to agree on which rules and agreements should apply in the world. The most important topics of discussion in the UN are peace and security, human rights, and sustainable development.
Peace and safety. Now remember, these are the same people, right? Let's get this real quick. These are the same people. And they do these things in secret, man. You don't really hear about these things being talked about in the news. And that's for a reason. Okay? Because these are the people who really control it all, man. And they're getting ready to bring about, all right, all out tyranny on you people, man. Right? In the name of saving the world, in the name of, saving, life itself, you need to submit, all right, to this tyranny that I'm bringing. That's what Nimrod did. All right, remember this? All right, UN declares war on dangerous conspiracy theories. Now, what does the word conspiracy mean? All right, somebody put it on the comment board. The meaning of conspiracy, so people can look it up. Okay, the act of two or more planning to do evil. That's it. So they've made this big deal now to have a conspiracy about something. That shows you how crazy the world is. Meanwhile, all these crazies are doing all this crazy stuff, but if you call them crazy and call it out, you're crazy. They declare war on dangerous con theories. The world is not secretly manipulated by a global elite. And amongst the names, okay, that you couldn't mention, you had George Soros, the Red Shield people, the state of Israel. They cannot be linked to any alleged conspiracies. Now, they haven't fully brought this about, but this is where it's all going. Okay, this is where it's all going. Okay? As they have a vision where they're going to be able to control misinformation with AI to root out truth in the earth. Using AI, they're going to weaponize, and they've already done it to a degree, weaponizing AI to police the earth, all right, to root out the names Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, and any talking point against what they're doing.
The Sustainable Development Goals is the United Nations global agenda to end poverty, fight inequality, and combat climate change by 2030.
Yeah, they're going to fight. They're going to kill poverty by the UBI, put everybody on one, that Marxist, put everybody on one, level field where they're going to have to depend on them. This is that system that they're bringing about. And we always told you that this was what was coming. Again, the two horns like a lamb. Let's get that in Revelation, the 13th chapter. The two horns like a lamb. Revelation 13 and 11. And I beheld another piece coming up out of the earth, the revival of Rome, America. And he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So the two horns like a lamb, his bipartisan system, but he speaks as a dragon because draconian measures, all right, was getting ready to come down the pipe. Isaiah 19, okay, and 2, I will make Egyptian fight against Egyptian, and brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor, and city against city, province against province. The Egyptians will lose heart. I will confuse their plans. They will plead to their idols for wisdom and call on spirits, mediums, and those who consult the spirit of the dead. This is all happening right now. I will hand over Egypt. The modern day Egypt is America. All right. I will hand Egypt over to a hard and cruel master. A fierce king will rule them, says Yahweh, the Lord of hosts. See that? A fierce king is going to rule over them. All right. and they're getting ready to wage all-out war. All right, the man of sin is getting ready to come down with great wrath upon the people. See, and the United Nations stand for peace and safety. They're supposed to be, and right now you see they're calling out the state of Israel for their bombings. All right, they're supposed to represent peace. Well, they're going to be put in power along with who that for the purpose of having dominion over where your rights and how far you can go and what you can and can't do, what you need to take.
This is big breaking emergency news. The United Nations just passed their quote pact for the future over them. So I want you to listen to what these reps said. This is Rep Bob Good from Virginia and also Ralph Norman from South Carolina. And they're warning that this treaty that is being pushed by the UN is going to strip the U.S. of its sovereignty. Listen to this right here from this press conference.
They don't want us to be subordinate to or governed by our Constitution. No, they want America to be subordinate to and governed by the UN, the World Health Assembly. And in fact, they intend to join with others at the UN summit this week to vote to award additional powers to the UN Secretary General. They seek to facilitate the evolution of the UN from an international cooperative body.
Because they need international peace. They need a one world. Okay, so the only way for America to be a part of that, they have to surrender that Constitution. See? And once they surrender that Constitution, all right, if anything happens, which it will, okay, your freedoms and rights won't be based upon that. It'll be based upon, all right, these people. See? That old serpent called the devil and Satan. Okay? Because what's the logo of, all right, the who dat? Now this is Josephus, all right, the works of Josephus, speaking on Nimrod in the Tower of Babel, which, again, we're living in the modern day Tower of Babel, which, you know, Babel is a Hebrew word that means confusion. That's where you get the word Babylon, and we're living in Babylon the Great. But when you deal with Nimrod, all right, who led the first attempt at a one world government, you know, the original New World Order started here with Nimrod. You can read about that in Genesis, the 11th chapter. It says, now it was Nimrod who excited them to such an affront and contempt of the Most High. And this is where Esau's leading the world in contempt of the Most High via his becoming a god through technology, through this, through that, you know, eventually through the ability to have everyone on a grid, all right, transformed into something new, okay, via that charagma. It says, he persuaded them not to ascribe the power to God as if it was through his means they were happy. This is what Esau's doing. But they believed that it was their own courage which produced that happiness, that humanist mindset. Esau and the Romans were big in that humanist mindset. It says, he gradually changed the government into tyranny, see, seeing no other way of turning men from the fear of God, but to bring them into a constant dependence on his power. See? He also said he would be revenged on God, all right, if he should have a mind to drown the world again. This is the pride we see these devils ruling the world with. All right? And this is what we're seeing. Okay? Anyway.
To an international governing body. These powers would be triggered by any one of a number of so-called global emergencies, whether it was a so-called climate emergency, a health emergency, a cyber emergency, or a gun violence emergency, whatever that's supposed to be, a financial emergency, or whatever they deem appropriate. And the Biden-Harris administration is in full agreement with the UN and the W efforts to place us under their authority and require such things as their international health regulations, including the surveillance of U.S. citizens.
How they're going to surveil you could be given over into their hands. Now you sitting here laughing and Kamala black, Kamala ain't black, Trump, yeah. The apostle, Apostle Ricard. These people just completely bugged out. They don't know their asshole from their thumb. They don't know what's going on. Sitting up here really taking Biden, Harris, and Trump serious. Well, this is where it's all going. See? But they're just chipping away at it and gradually getting you to that point to where you won't have a goddamn thing. And you ain't gonna have nothing to say.
The censoring of dissenting views, and much more. The American people didn't vote for this, and they don't support this. And it's up to the people's representatives, that's us gathered here today, to have a responsibility to expose this and to reject this. The U.S. should defund the UN. We should withdraw from the UN. Any agreements the UN should require Senate approval or disapproval. And a bipartisan House majority voted to require Senate approval just last week with Tom Tiffany's bill on the House floor. So I'm proud to be joined here by my House colleagues and others who are appropriately concerned and educated, informed, and leading on this issue. Again, this is the most important issue that's getting the least amount of attention relative to its importance and its impact on our country and on the American people. And with that, I yield to the gentleman from South Carolina, Ralph Norman.
Thank you, Congressman Good. I want to thank Frank Gaffney, Tony Perkins, all my colleagues for taking a lead role in this.
These devils are divided, man. We just read it. All right, the Lord is breaking this thing up, man.
As Congressman Good said, this is probably, other than our financial crisis this country's in, the most important issue to call attention to.
But people are looking at Nasty Diddy.
The Summit of the Future will happen on September 22nd, 23rd. And folks, what that will do is cede America's authority, America's sovereignty to basically China. China is defined as a developing country. It is the number 2 economy behind America. It's not developing. It will cede our decision-making ability to China. That's what you need to know. Let me read out what the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, his policy brief 2, issued on March of 2023. I propose that the General Assembly provide the Secretary General and the United Nations system with a standing authority to convene and operationalize automatically an emergency platform in the event of a future complex global shock of sufficient scale. Guess who determines that? The world. It reveals, in their definition, a possible global shock, including large-scale climate or environmental events, determined by who? The Secretary General. Future pandemics. We all endured what the problem we had with the latest virus. High-impact events, involving a biological agent, determined by who? Disruption of global flows of goods, determined by who? Not America, but the Secretary General. Not only that, it requires a 5% payment by the United States every year of our total medical dollars spent, which are in the trillions. Bottom line, we cannot let this go. This is a top-line issue that America must be made aware of. It's got to go through the Senate, where it requires 60 votes, and we're going to fight to make sure all Americans know what's happening and stop it dead in its tracks. The WMO defunded, needs to be we need to do away with it, and America get out of it.
All right, so that was Congressman Ralph Norman from South Carolina, and he made some key points there. He was saying that and the United Nations could declare a, quote, climate emergency. They also could declare a, quote, health emergency, a global health emergency.
And this is not medical information, we're just in the news.
We've seen recently. And they also could declare a supply chain emergency as well too, right?
A supply chain emergency could lead to them hijacking the power.
And it would give them governing powers if any one of these things happened and they declared an emergency for it. All right, this is big because these things could go together as well too. All right, if there is a health emergency, they could also take control of the supply chain, and then the world. This is all part of the treaty. I've made a few videos on this already, but it is now being approved by the UN, and then it has to be approved by the Senate as well too for us to adopt it. All right, so there's one more barrier left in the Senate, but it could potentially be adopted. All right, so, and even if it's not adopted by the Senate, the president has the discretion to voluntarily follow this treaty anyways. All right, but if it is passed by the Senate, then they have to follow it. It's a binding treaty. with this global governance body and with all these other countries signed on too. All right, so this is big. And during a health crisis, a global health emergency, it would also give them power over the supply chain and things like medicines and medications. The World Health Organization would be able to have power over where these things are distributed to. All right, we're already seeing this right now with this mpox in Africa. Okay, the World asking all these countries like the US, France, there's been a couple different countries that have been sending resources and medications to Africa, and the UN mandate things like that, and they could also mandate and control where certain life-saving medications go during these emergencies. So, and it would be based on things like equity. Okay, so they could decide that there's enough, you got enough in the US, you got enough of this life-saving medication, we are now redistributing it to other countries that need it more right now. Or
Man, just imagine what they're going to do with this kind of power. I'm going to just leave it at that, you know.
or more equitable. Okay, that's all in the treaty. I've read through this thing multiple times, and they have signed this pact for the future at the UN. Right, so
There we go. And what does the scripture say about peace and safety? So this could be it. And that charagma is centered around bringing about a system of security and peace and safety. 1 Thessalonians 5:2, for are yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye brethren that are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. Psalm 7:16, his mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down on his pate. Okay, so you devils, verse 14, behold, he travaileth with iniquity, he has conceived mischief and brought forth falsehood. That's what he's doing. He made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. This is what's getting ready to happen to y'all, man. So now, you know, there's getting ready to be an all-out war. They're setting up. They got the whole infrastructure set. They just need the, situations to bring it about to, justify outlawing righteousness. They're already doing it. Okay? Gil Bates warns of a greater control over the narrative surrounding juices, and he thinks AI could provide the perfect opportunity, according to the comments he made to Oprah Winfrey in her recent AI and the Future of Us. So you got Oprah Winfrey talking about AI in the future. See if we don't have to look at it. What I'll do is save it. Oprah Winfrey shares her experience using AI. So they're bringing it about. They're bringing this system. See, all these people that all of you people esteemed, okay, yes, they were all witches the whole time. These vile people, man. And when you find out what they're really a part of and what's really going on, y'all gonna freak out. But it's all gonna come out. And then when we get the new bodies, we'll know everything that you devils were doing. Let's see here. So you can go there. He wants all to call opinions he disagrees with misinformation and censor them. So what would the devil call misinformation? See, they're calling on the government to do it, but it's not working, so they're going to have to bring about AI to get the job done. AI is going to be policing the earth. They have movies on it. Okay. Brainwash. Researchers develop AI mind-sucking machine to change the brains of sea theorists. Just jump to this one point. Let's see here. Forcing people out of the rabbit hole with AI. When you go down the rabbit hole, you're just finding things out about what's really going on. Okay, so these devils are crazy. A mind sucking machine to suck the truth out of your brain. Wow. Yeah. Anyway, we'll jump into this in another lesson. But war is also on the horizon, man. War is on the horizon. Let's look up a few of these titles. And another thing is that juice is being found out. So there's another reason why they're throwing all of these distractions. These devils are losing. French President Emmanuel Macron calls for an NWO. AOC reveals elite forming task force to censor journalists who oppose their agenda. There we go. It's our duty, Kamala Harris, it's our duty as Americans to punish loved ones who share misinfo. So they're getting ready to crack down on what they deem misinfo. Wonder what's going on. They're getting caught. And closer and closer they get to bring out that C-hip, they're going to need biblical narratives and the MOTB talk to be ceased out of the earth. Right? WEF calls for imprisonment of social media owners who allow non-mainstream content on their platform. So look for more harsh, rules on what you can and can't say. Let's see here. Niggas are losing out here, man. God damn. You could just read that title. Sheesh. Niggas, the people out here losing, man. Sheesh. It's a dirty game. Yeah, all this wickedness, man. It's all being uncovered, man. We're living in some interesting times. Wow. Biden regime vows to permanently shut down X and end excessive free speech. But our people are crying for these people to rule. Let's look at it a little bit. Let's see what's on natural news. Oh, man, this place got to go. Israel's entire occupation of Palestine since 1948 ruled illegal by the UN. But the UN helped establish it. These devils are all over the place, man. You helped establish it. Right? Oh, yeah. They're going to go after the big dogs, right? See? Trump will launch RICO investigations into collision between medical boards, journals, and Big Pharma. Yeah, they're going to go after Big Pharma. And you people believe that they're going to do this. It sounds good, but come on, man. If he was to get in, none of this stuff would happen. Haitian migrants taking over Springfield, Ohio. Then they're interviewing people, and people are saying that's not true. Who knows, man? The Esau is just blaming the tribes for everything, Not that the tribes ain't doing wickedness, but, come on now. He's just eating cats, taking over. Come on, man. That's the real Alf. It says, yeah, we saw that. Can China remotely control and detonate electric vehicles? This is a crazy world. You don't know if your car, your phone blow up. It's just a crazy time. Like, we just need the Lord, man. Hillary Clinton demands criminal charges for America spreading disinformation. Defense Department funds fake meat manufacturer that uses fungus protein. Damn. Hillary calls for criminal arrest of anyone who speaks against NATO and the U.S. empire. Damn. Sheesh. That nigga crazy. Entire board of 23andMe resigns, leaving only Ann Washkiki, deceased former YouTube's. Come on now. Give me 1 second. Israel blocks 83% of food aid to Gaza. Anyway, but I thought this was interesting too. Damn, computer is tripping. Wow. Okay. Yeah, this internet is tripping out. So I'm going to leave it there, man. Hopefully I'll edify. We're going to leave it alone. Shalom.